G'day folks, Scott here. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to review something a little different. This weekend I got to go to a place called Jet Flight Simulator here in my hometown of Adelaide, and I got to fly a simulation of a Boeing 737. Now, I had a look, and this place has outlets in most capital cities in Australia. I presume there'd be similar experiences worldwide. And basically they have an entire cockpit for a Boeing, 3 big video screens in front of the cockpit, all the buttons and controls and levers and foot switches and everything throughout it that are apparently very accurate to the actual plane. Supposedly this is based on the actual devices they use to teach pilots when they're learning to fly. And I got to spend an hour with a gentleman flying. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of my instructor. He was a really lovely, helpful guy, and he basically was there to, guide me through the process of learning how to fly this thing. And he would step in and obviously, take control of certain aspects of the plane as he saw fit, and run a lot of the background things like, the flaps and whatnot. I'll come back to that. So I'm a big video gamer. I haven't played a lot of flight simulator games. I did mess around with Microsoft Flight Simulator back in the day and had like a little, flight stick that plugged into my computer and whatnot. I guess the one thing that video games does teach you is to micromanage statistics and to watch different things, and that's really all this was. The one thing I found surprising was that the amount of time as a pilot you would spend watching the panels and little time watching out the front window. So I got to fly in and out of Dubai, basically take off from that airport, fly around the city a little bit, fly up the coast, see the sights, fly out to sea, come back around and land again. Which was a really interesting experience. And then I got to fly in and out of Hong Kong. Hong Kong was interesting in the fact that after you came back around and coming into land, you have to fly directly toward the city, come in pretty low, and then do a hard right and land straight on the runway. That was pretty intense. And throughout the thing, it was very well done. Whenever you would take off, there would be control panels. You'd have to input, what flight path you were going to take and what runway you wanted to take off from and what runway you wanted to land on. And it was very good in the fact that he wasn't like reaching and like saying do this, do that. He had a laser pointer, so he could point at specific controls on there, and input this, press this button, do this button, do this button, and he's going audibly through all the flight checks as a pilot would. Made it a very authentic experience. So for the most part, what I was doing was controlling your main stick, steering arm, the foot pedals, which both did what they call yaw, which turns the plane this way, and they were also the brakes for when you were on the runway. Got to do the throttle, like taking off on the runway, and most of everything else he was doing and guiding me through it and, telling me what to do. Honestly, although it sounds kind of basic, just doing the steering and the foot pedals, there was so much to look at. It was insane. Watching, like I said, micromanaging different screens and different things, like bouncing my attention between them, was really intense. I like the fact that he was very good at giving commands, putting a certain level of like pressure and stress on to try and push me to succeed in the commands he'd given me. When I had succeeded in those, he made it more and more difficult and gave me more and more to do. So I wouldn't say he was barking orders at me, but he was, do this, do that, do this, do that, watch this, watch that, and I really liked the pressure. It was very immersive. Obviously, with the screens and the thing and all the lights and the switches and panels above you, like, I don't know how much of all these things did anything, but it was very authentic, very realistic feeling. Actual seat that, slid in on a rail and moved right in the way they do. Like I said before, I found that I didn't spend a lot of time looking out the front, to the point where he actually told me a few times, okay, we're actually approaching the runway. You should be looking out the window now, because I'm just watching all these things, making sure my airspeed was right, my altitude was right, my rate of descent was right. And it was a very overwhelming experience. And the 2 times I landed successfully, I was like really thrilled. It's like, yay, he did it. So what he did on the last flight, it's like, okay, you've done really well, and this time we're going to put you under a bit of pressure. So I got to take off from my hometown, which is Adelaide in South Australia, and it was at night time in poor weather, and we flew out, took off, flew out, and then we had an engine failure, and the left engine on the plane completely died, and there was nothing, and it was affecting the controls. And he's like, okay, you want to fly at a certain distance, we're going to call in for a mayday and request a runway, and we're going to turn back around and we're going to come back in and land. And the controls were a little different and freaking out a little bit, and the pressure and the nighttime and all that. It was pretty overwhelming. It was really good. I just crashed on that one. I landed just short of the runway, hit the dirt in front of the runway, He said I hit it at such an angle and at a speed that it would have popped the tires, but no one would have been harmed. The plane would have sustained some pretty heavy damage, but everyone would have been okay. But the pressure of like losing the engine and hearing him say all the commands and all that kind of stuff, it was very cool. Overall, I found the experience amazing. Like I said, it was very immersive, very well done. Obviously, having an actual airline pilot there saying all the correct terminology and teaching me all this kind of stuff was very accurate. Having never flown a plane, but to me, it was very accurate. It was very enjoyable. An hour went like that. It went so quickly. Like I want to go back and do it again. The same place also offers a jet fighter simulator. So you're in a small cockpit, like I presume one-man fighter plane, and you would be out. I don't know if you're doing combat or anything. I didn't look into that. I had a choice of doing both, and I chose to go the Boeing because I figured it's a slower, steadier experience, and I'll be able to absorb more and all that. And when I go back next time, I'm going to try the fighter plane. So yeah, it was a fantastic thing. It was a really well done experience. Really, like I said, immersive is the word I keep coming back to there. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I strongly recommend it. Obviously, if you're a video gamer and you like those flying kind of games, this is the next level with the fact that it's just so much going on and so realistic to the real thing. If you're a pilot enthusiast or an airplane enthusiast, then another fantastic experience you could have. So yeah, I highly recommend it. That he was super friendly, really helpful. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I'm definitely going to go back for more. So I know this was a bit off the beaten path, a little bit different to what I normally do. I'll be back later this week to review the new Transformers movie, and I shall see you all soon. So thanks very much for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you can. Check out my other review videos, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.